Corporations are often celebrated as the engines of progress, innovation, and growth. They create jobs, develop groundbreaking products, and connect the world in unprecedented ways. What if this story, the one we're so used to, is only half of the truth? Behind the glossy image of success lies a deeper, darker reality. Corporations, when left unchecked, can amass immense power and influence, often with devastating consequences to the people, communities, and the planet itself. Today, we're diving into the shadowy side of corporate power, from South Korea's Chaebols to Purdue Pharma's role in the opioid crisis. We'll explore how corporate greed shapes our world and what it reveals about the systems that we live in.
With that said, cue the intro.
Fueling curiosity, one idea at a time. Let's start off by talking about South Korea's Chaebols, a corporate dynasty. South Korea, often hailed as a success story of technological and economic growth. Beneath this narrative, though, lies the overwhelming dominance of Chaebols, family-run conglomerates like Samsung, Hyundai, and LG that control vast swaths of the economy itself. Chaebols aren't just businesses, they're institutions. Their influence reaches deep into politics, society, and even culture itself. Chaebols have exacerbated the wealth disparities. Their monopolistic practices stifle competition, leaving small businesses and startups with little room to grow. And the cozy relationship between Chaebols and the government have led to scandals involving bribery and abuse of power. Former President Park Geun-hye was impeached after a corruption scandal tied to Samsung's president, Lee Jae-yong. Chaebols often prioritize profit over worker welfare, with a history of union suppression as well as poor working conditions. The result? A system that resembles a dystopia, where a handful of families wield disproportionate power, leaving little room for fairness and accountability. The British India Company, the first corporate superpower. If Chaebols represent modern corporate dominance, the British East India Company is a historical example of what happens when corporations operate without oversight. From the 1600s to the 1800s, the British East India Company plundered India's resources, devastated its economy, and exploited its people. The Bengal famine of 1770, which killed millions, is directly tied to this corporation's policies. At its peak, the British East India Company controlled a private army that was larger than many nations, using it to secure trade routes and suppress dissent. The company's relentless pursuit over profit has left a legacy of poverty and inequality in these regions to this day. The British East India Company serves as a stark reminder of how unchecked corporate power can reshape nations for the worse. Monsanto, profit-driven agriculture. Few modern corporations are as controversial as Monsanto, a giant in the agricultural as well as biotechnology industry. While genetically modified organisms aren't inherently harmful, Monsanto's aggressive patenting practices has driving many into debt. Monsanto's herbicide Roundup, containing glyphosate, has been linked to environmental degradation and health risks, including cancer. Monsanto has a long history of suing farmers over patent infringement, often over accidental cross-pollination, a practice that has devastated small-scale agriculture. Monsanto's story highlights how corporate dominance in critical sectors such as agriculture can harm the people and the planet itself. Purdue Pharma, the opioid crisis. The role of Purdue Pharma in the opioid crisis is one of the most devastating examples of corporate malfeasance in recent history. Purdue aggressively marketed Oxycontin, downplaying its addictive potential and promoting it as a safe, long-term solution to pain management. The overprescription of opioids led to widespread addictions, overdoses, as well as thousands of deaths in the US alone. While Purdue declared bankruptcy and reached legal settlements, the Sackler family, the company's owners, retained much of their wealth as well as avoided significant personal consequences. This case shows how profit-driven corporations can devastate communities when regulation and oversight fails. DuPont, poisoning for profit. Chemical giant DuPont offers a chilling example of corporate negligence. DuPont knowingly released toxic chemicals like perfluorooctanoic acid into the environment, despite evidence of their harmful effects on humans. Perfluorooctanoic acid, used in Teflon production, has been linked to cancer, birth defects, as well as other harmful conditions. DuPont concealed these dangers for decades. When the company eventually faced lawsuits and paid settlements, the damage to communities and ecosystems still remains. DuPont's actions reflect the length corporations will go to prioritize profits over people. So, what drives corporate greed? At the heart of these examples lies a fundamental issue: the relentless pursuit of profit. Corporations are designed to maximize shareholder value, but this focus often leads to exploitation, lack of accountability, and short-term thinking. Vulnerable communities, workers, and natural resources are frequently exploited for financial gain. Wealthy often operate above the law, using money and influence to avoid consequences. The focus on quarterly profit discourages long-term accountability, leading to harmful decisions for the society and the environment. A call for accountability. Corporations have the potential to drive progress, but history has shown us that unchecked power often leads to exploitation and harm. From South Korea's Chaebols to Purdue Pharma's role in the opioid crisis, the lesson is clear. Without accountability, profit-driven entities will always prioritize their bottom line over humanity's well-being. But what does this mean for us? For me, exploring these stories is about more than just exposing the flaws. It's about understanding the systems that shape our world. It's about asking the tough questions. How can we strike a balance between innovation and accountability? And what role do we as individuals play in holding corporations to a higher standard? Curiosity isn't just about uncovering information. It's about using what we learn to push for change. The stories about unchecked corporate power challenge us to think critically about the systems that we support and the kind of future that we want to build. So, what do you think? Have corporations become too powerful? How can we ensure that they serve the greater good? Let's discuss in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. And as always, stay curious, because understanding the forces that shape our world is the first step towards changing it. Cue the outro.
They say curiosity killed the cat, but without curiosity, life will be dull. I'd rather live boldly, fueled by curiosity, than be bored to death. This has been Curious Mindset, where we ignite the spark of curiosity in every video. Hopefully you learned something new today. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.